Hello, everyone. Dr. Victoria Scorpio here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. It's time for Tarot Scopes again. And today I'm going to do the Tarot Scopes for the sign of Scorpio, Scorpio Sun, Scorpio Moon, and Scorpio Rising. It promises to be a pretty intense year for Scorpio, mainly due to the fact that the South Node is shifting into Scorpio on the 18th of January, and then the mean node, which is the average of the movement of the nodes of the moon. The nodes of the moon are points in space, so they tend to wobble. And so the mean node takes into consideration the wobble. And that is actually beginning on the 22nd of December, which at the time of this reading is already past. So we're feeling that Scorpio South Node, and we're feeling the need to release and let go. And if you're wondering what it's like to have the South Node in your sign, you can ask your Sagittarius friends, because they just had 18 months of the South Node in Sagittarius. And for most of us, not just Sagittarius, we've really had to evaluate what we believe to be true, and what is the actual sort of facts on the ground, as it were. And we've all been, I think, educated. Excuse me, educated, which is interesting because those nodes are the nodes associated with education. So we certainly got educated over the last 18 months. And so starting in January, the nodes will be with the North Node in Taurus, which is your opposite sign, and the sign of your house of relationships. So actually, despite the fact that you're going to be having the South Node in your sign, we do have an energy moving in the direction of that seventh house. And the question that you are asking yourself is, what is essential within my relationships? What can't I do without, and what can I do without, and what can I let go of? And with the South Node in Scorpio, we can let go of complex, enmeshed, and quite frankly, unhealthy relationships that we can get into, codependency. So what we'll see over the next 18 months, I think, is a lot of people sort of letting go of those types of relationships and sort of moving into perhaps a more self-full relationship with themselves, because the North Node in Taurus asks us to come to an appreciation of who we are, what we have, what are our resources, how resourceful can we be, and what is truly important to us. So besides that, Scorpio, you do have a new moon in the sign of Capricorn occurring on the 2nd. New moons are always new beginnings. This new moon happens to be at 13 degrees of Capricorn, and that is actually trine Uranus. So there's an energy of change with that trine to Uranus, and actually easy change as opposed to really difficult change, which we're seeing with Uranus square Saturn. That was that exact square, the third of those exact squares, all of which happened in 2021. The last one happened on Christmas Eve, but the whole year ahead, 2022, will have that energy as well, as we get really close to an exact square again at the end of the year, but not exactly, but it's there. These things don't have to be exact to feel them. And Saturn and Uranus are a long cycle that began back in 1988, where maybe perhaps some of you weren't even born yet. And it is a social cycle. So we will see that being expressed mainly in the structures of society. But if you happen to have a planet in those degrees, in the fixed signs, then you may be feeling it much more personally. That new moon in Capricorn is in your 3rd house of writing, siblings, your immediate environment, the environment outside your door, your neighbors perhaps. And so we may have a new project, a new relationship with a sibling. When we're dealing with Capricorn, we're always dealing with our sense of self authority. And you could start maybe a new writing project. There's all kinds of things. New research, all kinds of things like that. And then we have the full moon to that new moon, which is going to be occurring in your 3rd and 9th house with the full moon in the sign of Cancer. And the sun conjunct Pluto, which is your one of your ruling planets. You actually have 2 ruling planets as a Scorpio. So Pluto is pretty active. It makes a conjunction to the sun this month. It makes a conjunction, the second, is it the second one? No, it makes a conjunction to Mercury, and that's the second conjunction to Mercury. It made a conjunction to Mercury at the end of the year. And it is in a very close conjunction at the beginning of the month to Venus, and Venus is retrograde in Capricorn. And so your Venus retrograde is usually a reconsideration of our values, and that's happening in your 3rd house. So that we could have a re-establishment of your relationships with your siblings, cousins, excuse me, those people that we came to know when we were young. Okay, so that's happening. Venus does make a conjunction to the sun. That's also happening in your 3rd house. And that's significant because at that point, Venus is retrograde, makes a conjunction to the sun. So it's as close as it can be to planet Earth. And so it's a real evaluation of all things Venusian, including your money and your relationship to power. Because Venus is all about relationship, and in Capricorn, it's your own empowerment, or it's your relationship to those who are in power. Do you feel powerless? Certainly Scorpio knows what it feels like to be powerless, because Scorpio understands there are certain things that you can't fight. You can't fight death, and you can't fight taxes. Both of those things are ruled by Scorpio. So with the Scorpio South Node, we can expect a lot of tax issues, not just for Scorpio, of course, but for everyone, trying to figure out what the new order is when it comes to taxes. Because I think what's happening just collectively is that people are starting to be more entrepreneurial, and that can be more complex. And if you're not really adept at understanding the tax codes, which nobody is but accountants, and I think even they have an issue with it because it keeps changing. I mean, if you're not rich, if you're not super rich, you might have something to worry about with the tax codes. But I guess we'll see. We'll find out. I hear that the Biden administration is increasing the number of people working for the IRS. So we'll see. We'll see where that pans out later down the road. So let's stop talking about taxes, right? Okay. So let me see if there's anything else that jumps out at me. Yes, I said you were ruled by 2 planets, Mars and Pluto. Mars starts the year, January, starts the year, I guess, in Sag, and then it shifts into Capricorn on the 24th. And Mars likes being, your ruling planet there likes being in Capricorn, likes the structure that Capricorn brings. It utilizes the structure of Capricorn. A busy January, let's take a look at the cards. We're going to look at the tarot cards now. And I am using the Wildwood Tarot. The Wildwood Tarot for all my wild Scorpios out there. So we'll see what the tarot says for us. So this is a reading for Scorpio, Scorpio Rising, Scorpio Moon, you secretive Scorpio moons. Scorpio Sun. Scorpio is a very deep feeling sign and doesn't always show, certainly keeps its cards close to the vest. To avoid being betrayed, one thing that Scorpio understands is the sting of betrayal. So it's not that they're just, what is that expression? Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean that people aren't trying to get you. I think a Scorpio came up with that. Okay, Scorpio, let's see what we have ahead. What do we have ahead? Okay. I'm doing this on a day that's very gray and wet. It's kind of Scorpio in its way, although they're not particularly gray. Okay, so we start with the star card. It's interesting. I've done, this is my 7th of the signs that I've done, and this is the 3rd time the star card came up as a first card coming out of the deck. This is hope, but it's also a search for your guiding star. It's kind of a meditative energy. It's in this deck, we have this person sort of walking through the darkness of the woods, coming to a clearing, perhaps, with the guiding star above him. And so even in the darkest of nights, I think looking up is good. So there's that new movie, Don't Look Up. Well, this card says to you, Scorpios, don't listen to that guy. Look up, because your answers are up there in the sky. Perhaps you want an astrology reading, right? Read the stars. What's crossing it is the Queen of Stones. This is, you have a reticence to come out of hibernation. I think it's been very intense. You know, I mean, it's intense for everybody, right? The last few years, maybe the last 10 years even, have been so intense that it's intense for everyone. But when you're especially sensitive sign, it can be even more so. And your challenge is to come out of your cave, really. To come out of your cave. Let's see what's at the root here. We have the 9 of Stones in this deck. It's tradition. There's a strength to this. This is depending on the past to a certain extent, but not just the dysfunctional past that most of us have to contend with, but the powerful past, the past when you were connected to your own sense of power, and also the power of the earth. So this card suggests that you need to reconnect with the power of the earth. In the past, we have the 4 of bows. This is a celebration card. So it hasn't been all bad news or difficult times. You have recently had a celebration where you could dance around the fire, perhaps, with your friends. Or maybe that's what you're missing. You're missing that because, you know, many of us, we can't at this point in where we find ourselves on planet Earth here, you know, there's been a lot of isolation. There's been a lot of isolation. But you fondly remember. You fondly remember the past when you could have a good time with your friends. In the sky, we have the Knight of Vessels here. This is the Knight of Cups. In this deck, especially, we have this eel here, which is, you know, close. I'm not sure it's a close cousin to the snake, but they look alike, right? But there's this sort of slithering quality. There's this, you're not really sure, like if you put your fishing pole in the water and you pull down an eel instead of a fish. First of all, eel is delicious if you're going to eat it, but you know, but it is a little bit of a shock, right? It is a little bit of a shock when that gets pulled out of the water. So there's the Knight of Cups is not the most reliable of knights, mainly because they're generally very focused on the idealism and such. And so with the Knight of Cups up there, I almost feel like and then this doesn't always happen with the Knight of Cups, so I'll just say what's coming to me. I think you need to be careful of your associations this month. So you're kind of looking for that guiding star. The challenge is getting out there, getting out of hibernation, connecting with spirit. You miss the camaraderie of friends. And so you may actually, when you first step out, you may come up with somebody up, or you throw your pole into the vast sea of possible relationships, and you'll pull out somebody who's perhaps not that reliable. So be aware of that. Now, this is for January, but these readings the January readings can hold for the year. So you just need to be careful of your associations. Remember, the South Node is in Scorpio. And so we don't want to associate with people who are going to make our lives more complex, right? We want to our most important relationship, while the North Node is in Taurus, is our relationship to ourselves. And that sometimes for Scorpio can be difficult, because Scorpio is a sign of deep feeling. And sometimes those feelings, even for the Scorpio, are a little scary. Let's see what's in the immediate future. Oh, great. So we have a healing here. We have a healing. This is the Seven of Stones. And so there's healing available to you. That's a wonderful card. That's a wonderful card. And so if you're feeling like you need to talk to somebody, what I would suggest is you go to somebody who does that for a living, a therapist or a social worker, or an advisor of some sort, maybe an astrologer. But go to somebody who is both reliable in their own sense, and then somebody who is also connected to the earth. This could also be a little shamanistic work that you could be doing with this energy. Maybe some plant medicine may help. So that is an opportunity for you. How it's seen from the outside. We have the 4, which is the green man. People see you as powerful and powerfully connected to the earth. So people are aware of that. Are you aware of that? This is the domestic situation. We have the page of I'm sorry, the page of bows. The page of bows. It's a Stoat. Sorry, either one is in the Weasel family. Again, you need to be careful. Sorry. Messages are coming, but you need to be discerning about them. And you need to be circumspect around the people around you. It's interesting, because this reading could apply to Joe Biden as well, because he is a Scorpio. In fact, he has his Sun and Venus and Mercury and Mars in Scorpio. So he has a lot of Scorpio in his chart. Hopes and fears. We have exploitation. This is the 6 of Stones here. You don't want to be taken advantage of, right? I mean, who does? And the outcome is happiness, the 10 of Cups. So that's a beautiful outcome. So challenging and being careful, but ultimately the outcome is one of joy, and love and unconditional love. So we'll see what's underneath it here. We have the 10 of stones, which is the stability of the family. We have the Tower card here, which is sudden change and transformation. This is a card that requires us to remember who we are, and not go by the facades or the faces that, or the things we tell ourselves about ourselves. Who are we truly? We are spirit. And then we have the 6 of arrows, which is the 6 of swords in this deck. And we have going over water here on this boat. Passing to calmer waters, perhaps. So this could also be for Scorpio, something that you were able, or some person that you were able to really depend on, does move on. So and so you will have to depend on yourself and your own power, right? But just because somebody you depend on leaves the scene doesn't mean that what you've learned from them isn't still there, and that their energy isn't still with you. As long as somebody is in your heart, they never go anywhere, really. And we can access that. So interesting reading, folks. As always, Scorpio is always interesting and intense. I hope this reading helps as we move through the month of January, and then the year at large, as it were. So like, subscribe. There is a link below if you'd like to donate to my channel. There's a link below if you'd like to have a reading with me. I don't really do the cards for people. I mostly do numerology, Kabbalah, and astrology. So that is available. All right, guys, have yourself a great month. Like and subscribe, and I will see you again next month for the Taroscope for Scorpio for the month of February. What day is it? Okay. All right, everyone, take care. Much love. Namaste.